Hi everybody, thanks for joining Create with Dee. I'm Dee Slater, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome to my channel and today's tutorial. We are going to be making a crisscross card front using the bundle Terrific Toadstool as well as some of the 2025 celebration items. And I think you're really gonna like this layout. It has a couple of different options. So we'll be making both of those options in today's video class. All right, let's get started making this cute crisscross card. So this is what the crisscross card that we're going to make today looks like. As you can see, the front of it crisscrosses and it does open up then as a traditional card. I also will be showing you an alternate way of doing it in the other direction and the reasoning that you can have behind this as well. We are going to be featuring some products today from the 2025 Spring Mini Catalog from Stampin' Up! That runs January through April 2025. I'm going to use the bundle Terrific Toadstools. So it's a punch. You have all of these fun toadstool images on it. And then some of the celebration paper too. Celebration runs through the end of January 2025 or February 2025. And we're going to be using the Toadstool Garden. So this is one of the selections that you can have with your $60 or more order. Okay, so it's cute paper that will coordinate beautifully with our Terrific Toadstools bundle. The materials that we're going to need to make our crisscross front card is a piece of Melon Mambo paper. This is 4 1/4 by 11, and I've got it scored already at 5 1/2, right in half. 2 pieces of our Toadstool Garden designer paper. Again, this is exclusive for Celebration 2025. And I've got both of these pieces cut down to 4 by 5 1/4. And then for the inside of the card, I'm going to need 1 piece of basic white, 4 by 5 1/4. And then when we cut our paper down, you'll have this strip, and we're going to utilize this strip for the inside of the card. All right. The first thing that we want to do is we want to make our crisscross. So I'm going to get my trimmer out, and as you can see here, this is what we're going to do is we're going to trim from the score line, the center score line, down to the lower left-hand corner. So from the score line, we're going to score upper right to lower left. Okay. So lower right, or so we're going to be cutting this right here. And I have my old trimmer. I'm working off-site while some of my stamping space is getting redone. So this blade is very dull, and I know that. Okay, so I've got it lined up on my track. I've got the point, and then I've got the point of the score line here, and we're going to go ahead and slice. Okay, so then we have something that looks like this. So if you want to, you can even do a card front just with that look too, but let's keep going on our crisscross. Okay, so we've got our card base, and keep this piece, we're going to need that. So here again are the 2 patterns of the designer paper, and because this is going to be how we use our crisscross, so here's this that we cut, and this is going to be kind of flipped over to make our crisscross. What we want to make sure is that our pattern paper, the designer paper, gets cut in the same diagonal direction of the panel that we want to use. So I want this panel, or this designer paper, on this front panel. So I want to make sure that I cut it mirroring the diagonal direction of the base under it from upper right to lower left. And then because I want this pattern on this side, I need to do the opposite. The direction of this diagonal cut is upper left to lower right. So this one's going to be cut in the opposite direction. Again, kind of think of a crisscross. So one of your patterns, if you want to do 2 separate patterns, needs to go follow the diagonal of the panel that it's going in. So let's get our trimmer out. And again, I want the our little toadstool pattern. I want this to come in the front panel direction, upper right, lower left. So I want to make sure I cut the diagonal accordingly. Again, this is my wonky backup trimmer. Okay, so now this panel, or this pattern, will go on this one. Again, I need this one to go in the opposite direction. So upper left, lower right. All right, now we're ready to do some gluing, but we're going to save these two that we did not use, and I'll show you how that's going to work on our other card. So that way they don't have to go to waste. All right, I'm going to use some liquid glue, and we'll get our panels put together. Now that we have our panels decorated, it's time to glue this cut apart triangle piece onto our card front. We want to make sure that when we add adhesive, we don't go over in here because this part will be exposed. So we want to have glue, kind of think of it on gluing this section here. Okay, so we do want this section down. So I'm going to add adhesive here. Okay, and we can always kind of see if we want a little more. I think that looks good. And just line up the bottom and the side. And there we go. That's our crisscross. And then it's just a matter of decorating. So let's go ahead and do so. All right, I've got the inside of this. I'm gonna do a lot of decorating on it with the stamping, just to show you a lot of the different options that you can do in the images and the scenes that you can make with terrific toadstool. Okay, so let's do the inside. And like I said, you know, you can hang on to these scrap pieces here. Here I cut this down to 1 inch to put on the top. So I'm going to get my trimmer back again. I could cut it to 1 inch, 1.5 inches. I'm going to cut it, there's a 2-inch section that's left. And so I can cut it into 1 inch and I can use it on 2 different cards. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay, I'll have that ready. And let's look on the inside. Popping up to say hi, and then I've got this cute little motif or little stamp that goes coordinates with the paper on it. So I'm going to use some Granny Apple Green. I did re-ink this yesterday, and we'll see if it's still a little juicy. Oh, I think it's going to be good. So I'm using this little grassy hill look of a stamp. And I'm going to go ahead and put this here down on the bottom. Stamp it again. Don't want any of the white showing. There we go. Going to take Granny Apple Green to make our landscape down here for the inside of the card. So I'm going to be using this image here. This can be grass, it can be a dirt mound, whatever you want it to be. And I'm going to go ahead and get this inked up. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go slightly off of the bottom of the card base. Oops, got a little doodad up there. It'll be just fine. I re-inked my ink pad and I didn't have it even out enough, but I kind of like how that looks, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that. Other colors in this designer paper, gray granite. We're going to make our little pop-up mushrooms on that. So I'm going to go ahead and put 3 little mushrooms. kind of up here on the hill on our little grass mound that we have. And then I'm going to take some pumpkin pie ink, and got this little mushroom cap, and we'll go ahead and get that. Get those three. Okay, cute. And then one of the sentiments that are in the stamp set is this popping up to say hi. And I'm going to use our fresh freesia ink. Get that on here. Awesome. And here's this strip that we had left over. This needs to be trimmed back to 5 1/4. Another way that you can do is just glue it down and then just cut it on the end. So I'll kind of show that. That way, if you don't want to measure it, you don't have to. We're just going to put a little of our liquid glue up here on the top. And I want to use this other side here. So I'm just going to line this up to the top. Grab my paper snips and turn that over, and I can just trim off that to match up exactly. All right, let's put that on the inside of our card front that we put together. Get my liquid glue. And that's going to go on the inside of our Criss Cross card. And then if you have these little boo-boos, you can use some white out. I've got these white gel pens, and I'm just going to kind of go over that if you want. That one I got to go over a little more. Okay, so this is our front of our card. And now let's make our focal point for, or that's the inside. Let's make our focal point for the front of the card. For that, what I'm using are some layering circles that are found in the Stylish Shapes. I've got the largest circle out of Granny Apple Green and the next size down out of our Basic White. And I'm going to replicate the inside of the card. So I'm going to go ahead and get our Granny Apple Green again and our little grass mound. And we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and take this first one off, kind of make it a little lighter. Put that right there. And I'm going to have 2 of our little orange capped mushrooms. So I'm going to start with the granite gray. I wanted to bring in this fresh freesia as a little bit of a background, almost like instead of a blue sky, a little purple sky. So I've got my blending brush, and I've got mine kind of designated by color. So I'm going to pick up a little of the purple. Just kind of go in the center, just a real subtle look to it. Looks like there's a little bit of green that I missed. I'm going to just take this and go back over it. There we go. All right, let's use the terrific Toadstool punch set that goes with the bundle. You can buy these separately, of course. And I'm using granite gray, and I just have some scrap cardstock. And I like to turn these upside down. Whoops. And let's find a little, doesn't take much. So we'll go ahead and punch that. And then we'll get some scrap basic white, and I'm using Melon Mambo for our cap. So go ahead and get that. With this stamp set and punch, you actually get, like, I'm going to use this middle toadstool, but you have two different toadstool caps and the same stem. So this one will, you could stamp that and punch it out with this larger one if you want. So you do have two options. And we'll slide this in here. And line that up. Punch. Okay, for the toadstool, I like to put the stem so it comes right up on, see where this point is? That kind of just goes right up to that. I'm gonna put the littlest itty bittiest of a glue dot or a glue on it. And then put our stem. So that's how that can look. And you can go either which way. You can just turn that on the other side if you want your mushroom to go in that direction. Let that rest just for a moment. And I'll go ahead and get some dimensionals. Okay, turn this over. Put one here, and then you can trim down a regular size dimensional, or if you want, which is what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab my mini. I'm going to get my paper piercer, my paper piercing tool, and we'll grab that off. Okay. So there's our large toadstool, and we'll put that right here. Now let's go ahead and we can get that layered onto that one, to our granny apple green circle. So a little liquid glue, get that centered, and then get our Criss Cross card. And what I like to do is I like to put one on the bottom of the V and then come up on either side of it. And then that can kind of cover. And we've got, oh, now we have to finish it. Two ways that you could do it. This is another Celebration item. This is the purple adhesive sequence pack, and you could use that, which would be really cute. But what I wanted to show is that if you have these 2024-26 in color shimmer dots, they go so well with so many different papers. So let's say that you used your Celebration rewards for that, but I wanted to show an alternate embellishment that you could do, because it's got these purple tones, pink tones, the green, and the orange tones from the in colors, and that mirrors a lot of the colors that are in that paper pack. So let's see, I'm going to take one of the orange, which is really the peach pie. We'll put one of those up here. I'm going to grab one of the purple tones, and then one of the green tones. And then actually I've got some white out. I'll put a little white out and get rid of that. So that's how to do the Criss Cross card in this format. Now if you want to, you can continue to watch, and I'll show you another way that you can use the Criss Cross card. All right, so ahead of time, I've already got the card base, and we're going to go ahead and cut it just like we did the previous time. So I'm going to get my trimmer. And so this is going to be the inside of the card. So I want it from the upper right of the score line down to the lower left is where the diagonal is. I'll put that on my trimmer. Oops, let's see. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take those other two triangles that we had left over from our previous card, and we're going to make it on here. And so again, this was on our up, and no matter how we work this does not work on the crisscross that opens this way. I can't get the pattern to go in the direction that I want. I could use the back side of it, but I really want this mushroom side. So the way that we can still use this is we're going to open it in this direction. So here's where we're going to do. So here, as you can see, I used the top half of the mushroom on it to lay it in this direction. We can open it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and put our pattern paper onto our triangle piece that we and so just like before, we're going to put adhesive on the back side just right in here so that when we open it up, there's no glue that's exposed. Okay, so I know on the back side of it, I can go all the way in this section here. So we'll flip this over. Oops, I might have had, I'll have a little bit of it exposed. I shouldn't have had. So see, I've got some glue there. So just what you want to do is not what I did. And so I'll let that dry, and then I'll take some things to get that rubbed off. But then what you get is something that looks like this. And so here again, I just did something a little different. I used another one of the smaller circles from that stylish shaped die, just a little thank you. You are magical. So just to show you what it would look like with just the mushroom, you know, you can do something like that. All right, let me get our projects back in here. So I hope that you enjoyed learning how to make the crisscross front card that opens up completely, and that you give it a try, and that you might consider the terrific Toadstools. And if you do, this might be one of the celebration papers that you can choose. All right, have a great day, everybody, and happy crafting. Bye-bye.